Hello. Welcome to Stop. Let's Team Up. This is My Legion Adventure episode 42, and we're covering two drastically different comic books. I cannot tell you how drastic. It is Adventure 326 and Superboy 117. Normally, I use the Illustrated Index of the Legion of Superheroes by ICG. I will do that for the first issue because it is in here. The Superboy is not in their version. It doesn't fit into their continuity, but it is in the archive, and I agree with the archive that you need to read Superboy 117 between Adventure Comics 326 and 327, just because that's when it came out. But let's get started, okay? Because it's a lot to talk about, and they are two totally drastically different comic books. First up is Adventure Comics 326, cover date November 1964, cover Curt Swan, penciler, George Klien inker, Ira Shop letterer. The story is called The Revolt of the Girl Legionnaires, Part 2. It is a two-part story. It's only 15 pages. The second part is called Triumph of the Superheroines. Credits editor plotter Mort Weisinger, plotter scripter Jerry Siegel, penciler inker John Forte. Ooh, this isn't Edmund Hamilton. Wow. Okay. Jerry Siegel. Roll call: Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, Lightning Lad, Triplicate Girl, Phantom Girl, Chameleon Boy, Invisible Kid, Star Boy, Supergirl, Brainiac 5, Superboy, Sun Boy, Ultra Boy, Mon-El, Matter Eater Lad, Element Lad, Light Lass, Colossal Boy, and Shrinking Violet, and of course Prody 2's hanging about. The villain is kind of Queen Azura, and okay, I don't know if I'd call her a villain. Light Lass's costume changes. She gets the cloud instead of the lightning bolts, and I never really, it's okay. This issue also contained the Legion Constitution, some of it. Science Police were referred to as the Science Police in this, the Space Police in this. Shrinking Violet, following the story, travels to hang out with Supergirl out in Action Comics 319. Also following this is Superboy's evil account. We'll get to that. I'm going to be quiet. Here's the synopsis. Saturn Girl summons all the female Legionnaires to the superhero clubhouse to begin laying plans to destroy the male members. Okay. Ultra Boy, Mon-El, Sun Boy, Lightning Lad, Colossal Boy, and Matter Eater Lad are returning from a mission, are diverted elsewhere by Saturn Girl. The remaining male Legionnaires are selected as victims by various girls who plan to pair off romantically with each and kill them at the Interplanetary Fair. The next day at the fair, Light Lass causes Element Lad to be stranded on a mountain peak, while Triplicate Girl, assisted by Shrinking Violet, splits into three girls who use ring devices to reduce Invisible Kid, Cosmic Boy, and Brainiac 5 to tiny size and attune them inside a matchbox. Saturn Girl lures Superboy into fighting a robot lead creature, which bursts open to reveal deadly kryptonite. Supergirl teases Chameleon Boy into becoming Phantom-like, then causes a cancel-light spray to help him keep him from changing back, and Phantom Girl tricks Starboy into making himself super heavy so he can sink into the ground. Back at the clubhouse, the girls celebrate their success with a wild party. Queen Azura of the planet Femnaz, a world controlled by man-hating women, suddenly appears on their space monitor and releases them from their supersonic pain she's put them under. She explains that the other male Legionnaires, while on their mission, had saved her people from disaster, and thus her attitude towards all males. Normal, once again, the girls release the boys from their trap, and all is explained and forgiven. This is I'm trying to find the right adjectives to describe this comic. To say it is my least favorite of all the ones I have read would not be untrue. I find it's a story of its time. It could not be written again. It's borderline funny. I just think in 2021, I just kind of find it's really kind of just a bit too much. If I was a little kid, I wouldn't see what I see as a 58-year-old man in the year 2022. But it's really silly. There's a lot going on, and I like that we're seeing more and more Legionnaires, and the girls the women get to be center the story. I mean, they're the main characters in the story, even though they're all been hypnotized to do bad stuff. I think the ending is kind of quick. I just think it's a comic book about man-hating, which I don't, I just think it's just not well told. I mean, nowadays this would have been a 12-issue maxi series. There would have been, a little more angst and stuff. But, it is a comic of its age. I'm not going to dog it too much. I mean, I was entertained. Now I'm not surprised it is not Edmund Hamilton, because it doesn't seem like the stories we had been reading, even though they kind of follow a pattern. I like the John Forte art a lot. I like to see Element Lad in more than a couple panels. Invisible Kid's there. Starboy's got some stuff. So, I mean, it's a little fun. It's just really dated, and it just doesn't hold up. But that's it for it. I mean, there are some good scenes. I mean, I really think the art is wonderful. I think I'm falling more and more in love with John Forte with every comic, and it's just a lot of fun, and I like his style, and it is I feel like I'm in 1964. I was born in 1964. I don't think I was alive when this came out. I may have been. We're getting close to that. But let's move on to our second comic book, and I'm going to have to go to the interwebs to get the synopsis because it's not in my little magazine. So here we go. Superboy, Volume 1, number 117. It cover date December 1964. Cover artist Curt Swan, Sheldon Moldoff, and it is a famous cover of Ultra Boy and the Legionnaires sitting in a classroom giving away Superboy's secret identity. And it is called Superboy and the 5 Legion Traitors. This has been reprinted a lot. Other comics in this story, so let me get to this. Superboy and the 5 Legion Traitors. Writer Jerry Siegel. Penciler Curt Swan. Inker George Klien. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. I love me some Curt Swan, and I love Curt Swan, George Klien. After witnessing a star go nova, Superboy finds himself caught in a strange vortex, but survives the experience. Returning home and returning to his identity of Clark Kent, Superboy, along with the people of Smallville, prepare for the arrival of the Legion of Super Traitors, who are scheduled for a visit to the 20th century. When arriving, the Legion members attend Clark's class. Clark realizes he's on a parallel world, which he realizes when he finds that Smallville, in this reality, is spelled Smallvile, Smallvile, and there is another Superboy on an adventure. Just when Ultra Boy of this reality is about to reveal Superboy's identity to the class, Clark is able to get a message out to his alternate reality counterpart in time for him to capture these rogue Legion members and return them to their own time. With his double's identity protected, Superboy returns to his own Earth, reflecting on what differences there are between parallel worlds. The roll call of Super Traitors is Brainiac 5, Ultra Boy, Element Lad, Invisible Kid, Chameleon Boy. Guest stars Lana Lang, Chief Parker, and some Legion members of the real Legion in a flashback, and the signed please. I love this. I've read this a bunch of times. It's been reprinted a boatload. The art's just is stunning. I love Curt Swan's Silver Age Legion. I think it is the best of all of them. They look the best. In Superboy looks the best. Curt Swan is such an amazing artist. It is powerful. I mean, Superboy is pushing a planet. This is pure Silver Age silliness. On page 2 of the story, he flies back to Earth and he doesn't realize he's in the wrong one yet. And they're all smirking and he doesn't get it. They stop a thing. A robbery and stuff, and then they come to school, and Brainiac 5, Invisible Kid is in it. He looks like Curt Swan draws him so good, and there's just some neat stuff, man. A lot of that crazy 60s science fiction stuff. He gives his Ultra Boy, looks and reveals his identity, and that's at the moment Superboy realizes he's in another thing, and he knows about other parallel. He understands the concept of parallel dimensions because they have this great panel, and I'll share it if I can find a single copy of it and put it up. It's basically where Superboy's thinking many similar universes coexist in the same space, but in an infinite number of different dimensions. There's no limit to the variations. Chief Parker may be a criminal in one world, an ape-like being in another, and even a woman. that's page 5, and he kind of looks over and sees the real Superboy. He does some great Silver Age Superboy stuff. He blows his super breath and he turns off the light switch. He melts a medallion in the cover of Darkness, uses heat vision to scratch a word into this disc, and then he throws it in the perfect trajectory to meet the real Superboy, the Superboy of this dimension, and get him there in moments. And that Superboy has an anti-gravity ray, and he takes them all, and they're paralyzed. I guess they're suspended in suspended animation, and he flies them, and then they take him back in their time bubble to be arrested. And then on the last page is a great panel where he shows you the difference between, in a thought balloon, Swan does it with pictures of the team. It's a great comic. It's a great comic. I mean, I think almost every Legion fan has read this. If you've gone back, the art, as I said, is beautiful. It is a great story. It is probably my favorite of the Jerry Siegel stories, it seems, because I find Jerry Siegel stuff a little too kiddie for me, and I don't think part of that might be, I've read these before and I've enjoyed them, and I am being entertained. They make me happy. They make me smile. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in them, but sometimes it's just, today or yesterday when I read the Super Traders, it really was just kind of like, well, does that hold up? No. And it's weird that he does this one issue, and then he does the Superboy, and then Edmund Hamilton's back. The next issue, we're going to meet Timberwolf. The next 2 comics we're going to do are Adventure 327 and 328. Wow, and it's a Edmund Hamilton and then a Jerry Siegel, and we'll see how different they are. And we're moving quite along. We'll move into 1965, where I'm alive when these are coming out, which means they're very old comics. I don't want to feel like I bashed the superhero ones. I do. It didn't really strike me this time. It's got a lot of 60s stuff that, doesn't hold up. But for its time, it probably entertained a bunch of kids. I like that they use the female heroes in these books, and Supergirl too. And I didn't read a lot of Supergirl, especially Silver Age Supergirl. So I wasn't, I don't read solo characters sometimes. And maybe I should have. And I've read, there are superheroines as I was reading comics in the 80s that kind of spoke to me. I'm a big Monica Rambeau fan in the Avengers, big Storm fan. And one reason I always loved Legion is that the female characters are always portrayed very strong. They will have moment in the writing. Sometimes they will oversimplify romance and lean into cliche, but they'll do that for men and women. But that is just shorthand in these stories. It's that you're not going to spend whole issues exploring their relationship between 2 characters, but you want to kind of show, connection, like their boyfriend, girlfriend, their husband, their wife. They're best friends. And I think Legion at its best is when those relationships feel real. I think Shooter does it as a writer very well. I think Curt Swan does it very well visually. I think John Forte does it very well visually. I think even Carrie Bates and the people like that before Levitt's first run, and then Levitt's, they fleshed the stuff out later. But it all starts here, and it's kind of good. It's kind of fun, and it was a bit kitschy. That said, on that one, I absolutely cannot recommend more highly Superboy 117 for just a great example of a very simple Silver Age comic that is a lot of fun, that is gorgeous to look at, and just, I remember this one. This is one that stuck with me. I mean, I think some of the, I've read some of these older ones I don't remember reading before, so they didn't stick. I think some of them I've only read once, twice, maybe 3 times. I've read the Levitt's era maybe a dozen times. I read the reboot at least up to like Legion, when Abnett Lanning came along. That Legionnaire, the early stuff, which I prefer. I like the Abnett Lanning stuff too, but I really like the first 2 or 3 years of Legionnaire so much. I mean, I do like the new Legion post 0 Hour. I am thinking it sparked me to want to kind of read, after reading Legends and I do love Crisis on Infinite Earth a lot. I think it's a great story. I know a lot of people don't like the changes and stuff like that. And that's kind of, and I think DC does do too many of these. I don't disagree with anybody who says maybe DC does Crisis books too often. They do. You're rebooting and rebooting. I think it's become a crutch. And I think it's getting diminishing returns. But there are ones I've liked and there are ones that I've not liked. So I may start following like I did Legends. Maybe I will do the next one and, do stuff like Invasion and other things, big events, DC big events. Because I find them fun. I like them a little more than I like Marvel big events, to be honest with you. I can't think of a big. I'm just finished. I've got to finish up Avengers, X-Men Eternals. It's been okay. I'm gonna read about 7 or 8 issues in a chunk because I just was like, I can't read this month week to week because it's not moving. I'm not feeling the connection, and there've been some weird ones. So maybe I'll do some Marvel too. But I'm gonna start doing. I think I'm gonna do some big events this weekend. I'm gonna talk about New Golden Age 1 and Stargirl: The Lost Children #1, which dropped today on the Ultra version of the DC app. I have not read it all the way through. I've just kind of savored the amazing Todd Nook art. Absolutely some of the best stuff I've ever seen him do. I love his Young Justice. I didn't read Young Justice until he was drawing it, and I will always read a comic book he draws. And that he's drawing Stargirl, I absolutely cannot tell you how beautiful it is and how much fun it looks. So I can't read it. And I'm going to gush about it. I'm going to gush about the new Golden Age generation. I really liked it. I am a Johns fan. I loved his Justice Society. I'm glad he's back writing Justice Society. He's going to do something new, which is interesting to me, and I want to see how it works. Because when I read his Green Lantern, I think I got to a point where I backed off because I think for me it was time for him to move on. I think a comic writer needs to, or the main person on a comic book, whether it be the writer or the artist, don't overstay your welcome. I think 5 or 6 years is really pushing it. Maybe decade if you're really good at stuff. And I think Jeff Johns has written some great comic books. So, but that's a different story. That's Green Lantern. Maybe I will cover some Green Lantern Corps stuff. But I'm looking forward to what this is going to do. I'm optimistic because it's going to be a Justice Society comic. I think he is going to honor what he has done before and what others have done before. I think he is bringing in things that are going to tweak some people, like the use of Watchmen characters, which I don't have an opinion, good or bad. I've enjoyed stuff with it in it. Do I get why people don't? Yeah. I don't view them as true sequels to Watchmen. I think Watchmen ends. That's it. We are just seeing another. I'm making excuses in my brain to enjoy. I like Tom King's Rorschach. But I loved it. But that's out of continuity stuff. I like Doomsday Clock, but I read it as trades. I tried to read it as it was coming out slowly, and it was excruciating. I love Gary Frank, but books should come out on time. I'm an old school guy. I don't like stuff like being late. Plan it. Artists have more time or need more time. Plan it. It kills the story. It kills the flow. That's a pet peeve of mine. I'm more like meet your deadlines or get everything in the can and then release it. But I'm going to talk about those and give my thoughts, and I'm going to ask some people to chime in. I'm going to ask people for their opinion, and I will read them, short ones. But I want to know what people think, and I don't care if you disagree with what I want to hear good and bad. I want you to tell me if you don't like it and why you don't like it, because I'm interested in that, because not everything's for everybody. I never, there are comics that people love that I've never been able to really read, and I get it. Then click with me. But I love to know why people like something. Seeing people gush about New Warriors made me buy an omnibus and read the first arc and go, wow, why wasn't I reading this? Because I love Fabian Nietzsche. So I want to know what you're thinking. So I will put that out there before this weekend. That's enough rambling about future stuff. Thanks for listening. Again, check out the comics I'm reading. You can find them in many ways. I'm reading them in the archives. I'm hoping the DC app starts in the Ultra, starts putting a lot of this stuff out. Right now, my review for DC Ultra is it's convenient, and that's the most of my race. I want to see when more stuff dumps or gets put on it. So again, next week, folks, we will be covering Legion 327 and 328. And don't forget, Thursday it is Defenders, and we will be covering just a single issue again, because that is Giant Size Defenders #1, which has some beautiful Jim Starlin art and 3 reprints that I want to talk about. And then this week, and again, New Golden Age, Stargirl Lost Children #1s. You know what I always say, be smart, be safe, be kind, and read some comics.